Jaya Kunjabi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Hari Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Yashodanandana Jaya Rajajanandana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Rajajanandana Jaya Yamuna Chiravana Chari Jaya Kunjabi Yamuna Chiravana Chari Jaya Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Baba Jaya Girivara Hari Jaya Girivara Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivara Hare Jaya Girivara Hare Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajanarandana Jaya Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajanarandana Jaya Brajajanarandana Yamuna Siravanachaari Jaya Kunja Vihari Yamuna Siravanachaari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Siravanachaari Jaya Kunja Vihari Thiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Go, Hari Go, Hari Go, Hari Go, Hari Go. Riga Yatra ki Gaur Premanande. Oh, very steady some of the bhakti. Oh, very steady some of the bhakti. Oh, very steady some of the bhakti. Oh, very steady Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. translating? Okay.
Will you be giving class on the Bhagavad Gita or just...
I don't know. What should I do?
I don't know.
There was some suggestion that I tell something about myself. I don't know if that's very interesting.
Anyway, may I put...
Yes, please. Russian. I don't read Russian. It's a book.
It's a book. It's
a book. Bona fide. Well, it's nice to be back in Riga.
Ir jauki būt atpakaļ Rīgā.
And especially it's nice to see so many bright-faced devotees here.
Un ir īpaši jauki redzēt tik daudz bhaktas ar mirdzošām sejām.
Yes, this is very encouraging.
Tas ir ļoti iedvesmojoši.
Truth be told, I was not planning to come here.
Patiesību sakot, es nebiju plānojis ierasties šeit.
I was on my way to Warsaw from London.
Es devos no Londonas uz Varšavu.
And I realized after booking my ticket that it made a stop, an overnight stop in Riga.
Un tad, kad es biju pasūtījis biļeti, tad es sapratu, ka man ir saskaņā ar to biļeti jāpavada nakts Rīgā.
So initially I started to lament.
Un sākotnēji es vispār sāku tā bēdāties.
Thinking, I wasn't planning to go to Riga.
Es taču neplānoju doties uz Rīgu.
But then I remembered there is a temple here.
Bet tad es atcerējos, ka šeit ir templis.
And I thought, maybe there is a higher plan.
Un tad es iedomājos, varbūt te ir kāds augstāks plāns.
Hotstāks plāns.
Augstāks plāns.
Hotstāks plāns. Sounds like a combination of Russian and Swedish.
Tā kā zviedru un krievu valodas savienojums izklausās.
Yeah. So anyway, here I am, and I'm happy to be here.
Un te no es esmu ļoti priecīgs, ka esmu šeit.
It was suggested to me by Bhaktiman Prabhu and his good wife that I first speak something about myself.
Man tika ieteikts Bhaktimans Prabhu un viņa brīnišķīgā dzīves biedra ieteica, lai es kaut ko sākumā pastāstu par sevi.
Since I'm a stranger here,
Tā kā es neesmu šeit labi pazīstams,
sort of like a like some dinosaur species come alive.
tas ir kā būtu atdzīvojušies kādu no dinozauru sugas pārstāvjiem.
Flash from the past.
Un tā kā atdzimuši no pagātnes.
The last time I was here was in 1992.
Pēdējo reizi šeit biju 92. gadā.
That's, now we have 2 cups. At this rate, we're going to have more. 20 years ago,
20 gadus atpakaļ.
Who was here at that time?
Kurš bija šeit templī tajā laikā?
So you all remember those of you who were here, remember the Gauranga Bhajan band?
Un tie, kas esat šeit, tad jūs atcerieties Gauranga Bhajan band? Mataji and her husband organized that event here.
Oh, very nice. Well, now I get opportunity to thank you.
Tagad man ir iespēja pateikties jums.
Very nice, very nice. That was, yes, I guess, a memorable event.
Jā, tas bija tāds atmiņā paliekošs notikums.
Something like, I heard around 2,000 people came.
Cik es atceros, man teica, ka ap 2000 cilvēku atnāca. 4,500.
4,500. Oh. Wow. Okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah. This singing is coming from?
No kurienes tā dzirdēja? From the outside.
From the outside. Oh, you put it out on the
There
street?
are loudspeakers. No, there are loudspeakers. Just attracting people.
Okay. They can't avoid but hearing Hare Krishna when they walk by.
Viņi nevar izvairīties no Hare Krishnas skaņām, kad viņi iet garām šai ēkai.
Okay, so actually that tour that we did in 92, that was the beginning of the end of the Gauranga Bhajan Band.
Patiesībā sakot, tā tūri, kas notika 92. gadā, tas bija Gauranga Bhajan Band beigu sākums.
We had begun in a small way in the sort of mid-1980s.
Un mēs sākām tāds neliels pasākums, tas bija 80. gadu vidū.
And things began to expand, at the end of the 80s, beginning 90s.
Un tad 80. beigās, 90. sākumā tas bija diezgan labi attīstījies.
And then we had this tour in former Soviet Union.
Un tad mums bija šī turnē par bijušo Padomju Savienību.
Let's see, it was Riga, Tallinn, Kiev, Moscow. I think there was one more.
Es domāju, ka bija vēl viena pilsēta.
There was anyway, I think we had 4 programs.
Es domāju, ka mums bija 4 programmas.
No.
Probably in Poland, but not in the Soviet Union.
Just see how our memories work or don't work. Petersburg. Yes, I think we did in Petersburg, St. Petersburg. Yes. Leningrad. Yes. Yes. Now, so there were 4. And of course, the biggest one was in Moscow.
Protams, lielākais koncerts bija Maskavā.
They estimated some 35,000 people came for that.
Mums teica, ka 35,000 cilvēku atnāca uz koncertu.
As Satchidananda Swami said, seeing the crowd of people, it looked like a field of wheat blowing in the wind.
Un Satchidananda Maharaj teica, ka redzot tos cilvēkus, tas izskatījās kā tāds rudzu lauks, kas vējā šūpojās.
So many people were raising their hands,
Tik daudz
chanting
cilvēku
Hare Krishna.
bija pacēluši rokas un skandēja Hare Krishna.
Yeah. After that tour, we made one more tour in Poland.
Un pēc tās tūres mums bija vēl viena tūre Polijā.
And then we quit.
Un tad mēs beidzām.
We decided to quit while we are ahead, so to speak.
Mēs nolēmām pārtraukt, kamēr mēs vēl esam tādā slavas virsotnē hīts, kamēr tas vēl.
And some of us were feeling like we're getting too old for this.
Un daži no mums jutās, ka mēs kļūstam pārāk veci tādai nodarbei.
This is for the kids. Let the next generation do this.
Tas ir jauniešiem, lai nākamā paudze ar to nodarbojās.
Yeah, so that was the end. But then, since then, so many talented young musicians have developed.
Bet kopš tā laika tik daudz jaunu, talantīgi mūziķi ir parādījušies.
You have some musicians here, probably.
Iespējams, ka arī šeit jums ir kādi mūziķi.
Yeah. Yes. No. Yes.
Jā, nē?
Rock.
Rock mūziķi. Reggae.
No one is admitting.
Neviens neatzīst.
Srila Prabhupada said that our movement will be spread by cultural conquest.
Un Srila Prabhupada teica, ka mūsu kustība izplatīsies kā tāda kultūras iekarotāja kustība.
what's the word for conquest?
Conquest ir iekarot, conquest, to conquer, iekarojums.
Ooh, I wouldn't be able to pronounce that in 3 weeks of practice.
Es nevarētu atkārtot to pēc 3 nedēļu praktizēšanas.
Okay, I first joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1972.
Pirmo reizi pievienojos Hare Krishnas kustībai 1972. gadā.
I first met devotees, or saw them and met them in 1969 in California.
Pirmo reizi es bhaktis satiku 68. gadā Kalifornijā.
I was going to university in Berkeley, California.
Es taisījos uz Berklijas universitāti Kalifornijā.
Do we have some students here?
Vai mums ir šeit kādi studenti?
Student devotees.
Ir kāds, kas studē?
Yes? You are studying?
Yeah.
Good. Well, I quit school after 2 years.
Pēc 2 gadu mācības es pametu skolu.
That's another story.
Bet tas ir cits stāsts.
And I started wandering around the planet.
Un es sāku klīst pa planētu.
And I met devotees in Germany.
Un satiku bhaktis Vācijā.
And I thought, well, why not hang out with them for a few weeks?
Un es padomāju, kāpēc ar viņiem nepatusēt pāris nedēļas?
It'll be good for me.
Tas būs man labi.
You know, live a clean life for a few days.
Tīru dzīvi for 2 days?
A few days.
Few days. Dažas dienas.
And then I will move on.
Un tad es došos tālāk.
But then after I was with the devotees for about 1 week, then the news came that Srila Prabhupada would be visiting Paris.
Bet tad, kad es biju kādu nedēļu kopā ar bhaktām, tad parādījās ziņa, ka Srila Prabhupada varētu apmeklēt Parīzi.
Everyone, this was in Germany, everyone of the German yatra, of course, would go and meet Srila Prabhupada.
Un tas bija Vācijā, un, protams, ik viens no Vācijas jatras gatavojās doties un satikt Prabhupādu.
So I was invited to join them.
Un es tiku uzaicināts pievienoties viņiem.
And on the way to Paris,
Un pa ceļam uz Parīzi,
the GBC of Germany at the time asked me, so, would you like to be initiated by Prabhupada?
un man tā laika Vācijas GBC pajautāja pa ceļam pirms došanās turien, vai tu vēlētos, lai Prabhupāda tev dod iniciāciju.
I had just been chanting Hare Krishna for about 2 weeks.
Un es Hare Krishna uz to laiku biju 2 nedēļas atkārtojis.
So he asked me and I said, yes, why not?
Man pajautāja un es teicu, jā, kāpēc ne?
So I was put on the list and I was initiated in Paris.
Un tā man ierakstīja sarakstā un es Parīzē saņēmu iniciāciju.
And then I found myself with a new name.
Un tā man radās jauns vārds.
Actually, before leaving Germany, we went to Hamburg and met the devotees in Hamburg.
Un patiesībā pirms mēs atstājām Vāciju, mēs devāmies uz Hamburgu un satikām bhaktas tur.
And one of the devotees in Hamburg was HH Krishna Brahmachari.
Un viens no bhaktām Hamburgā bija Krishna Smita Das Brahmachari. Smita Krishna Das Brahmachari. Jā, Smita Krishna, jā.
And I was very impressed with him.
Un viņš atstāja uz mani ļoti lielu iespaidu.
And I thought he has a very nice name also.
Un es domāju, ka viņam ir ļoti jauks vārds arī turklāt.
Has the name Krishna inside.
Jo tajā vārdā ir Krishna.
So on the way to Paris, I was thinking, maybe I could also get a name that includes the name Krishna.
Un pa ceļam uz Parīzi domāju, varbūt, ka man arī varētu tikt vārds, kas ietver vārdu Krišna.
I didn't share this thought with anyone.
Un es nevienam neteicu šo domu.
Because I thought I probably shouldn't be thinking this.
Tāpēc, ka es domāju, ka varbūt man nevajadzētu tā domāt.
You're supposed to just surrender.
Man vienkārši ir jāuztic sevi.
Anyway, when Prabhupada gave me my name, your name is Krishna Kshetra Das, I thought, wow.
Bet tad, kad Prabhupada man deva šo vārdu, Krishna Kshetra Das, tad es iedomājos, wow.
Wow, that's also Latvian word.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I thought he's very mystical.
Un es domāju, tas ir ļoti mistiski.
Prabhupada knows my mind.
Prabhupada zina manu prātu.
Many years later, maybe just, when was it? Less than a year ago, I was in New York.
Daudz gadus vēlāk, pareizāk sakot, mazāk kā pirms gada es biju Ņujorkā.
And I met Pradyumna Prabhu, my godbrother, at the temple.
Un es satiku Pradyumna Prabhu, manu garīgo brāli, templī.
And we were having prasadam together.
Un mēs baudījām prasādam kopā.
Pradyumna Prabhu was Prabhupada's Sanskrit secretary.
Un Pradyumna Prabhu bija Prabhupada sanskrita sekretārs.
And he was traveling with Prabhupada a lot.
Kurš ļoti daudz ceļoja ar Prabhupādu.
And I was telling him that I had been initiated in Paris.
Un es viņam pastāstīju, ka es saņēmu iniciāciju Parīzē.
In 1972.
72. gadā.
And he said, oh, I would have been there at that time.
Un viņš teica, man bija jābūt tajā laikā tur. I wouldn't be there. Would be there.
I would have been there.
Jā, es būtu bijis tajā, man bija jābūt tur.
And I said, oh, you probably chose my name.
Un es teicu, tad iespējams, ka jūs izvēlējāties manu vārdu.
Because Prabhupada was getting help from his secretary to select names to give to initiates, because he had so many names.
Tāpēc, ka Prabhupada lūdza saviem sekretāriem palīdzību, lai izvēlētos vārdus, jo bija ļoti daudziem jādod šie vārdi.
And he said, yeah, I think so.
Un viņš teica, jā, es tā domāju, ka tā bija.
So then I went back to Germany with German devotees and stayed there for some months.
Un tad es atgriezos atpakaļ ar vācu baktām Vācijā un paliku tur dažus mēnešus.
And then I was sent to Holland by the managers.
Un tad mani menedžeri nosūtīja uz Holandi.
I had one very special qualification.
Jo man bija kāda īpaša kvalifikācija.
I had a driver's license.
Man bija braukšanas tiesības.
And they wanted somebody with a driver's license.
Un viņiem vajadzēja kādu, kam ir braukšanas tiesības.
I stayed there for a year. I came back to Germany. I went to Denmark for a year.
Un es tur paliku gadu, tad atgriezos Vācijā, tad devos uz Dāniju uz gadu.
Distributing books, distributing LPs.
Izplatīju, tad es tur grāmatas, izplatīju skaņu plates. Skaņu plates.
Wow. That's before your time. You don't even know what that is.
Tas ir vēl pirms jūsu ēras, jūs nezināt, kas tas ir.
Well, yes, at that time, one of the Skanuplats.
Long play records.
Yeah. One of them that we had was a double LP of Srila Prabhupada.
Viena no tiem ierakstiem mums bija dubulta albums ar Šrīlas Prabhupādas ierakstiem.
Which Srila Prabhupada had recorded while he was in Germany in 1974.
Ko Prabhupāda bija ierakstījis, kad viņš bija Vācijā 74. gadā.
And those recordings are still available.
Un šie ieraksti joprojām ir pieejami.
And there's some of the best quality of the many different recordings that were made, because the devotees had set up a special makeshift, but still quite good recording studio for this purpose.
Jo tajā laikā tas ir viens no labākajiem ierakstiem, jo Bhaktas tam ierakstam iekārtoja gan paštaisītu, bet ļoti labu kvalitātes ierakstu studiju.
So, however, in Denmark, my last day in Denmark, I have to confess, was in prison.
Taču man ir tagad jāatzīst jums, ka mans pēdējā diena Dānijā tika pavadīta cietumā.
Because the next day we were sent out of Denmark.
Tāpēc, ka nākamajā dienā mūs izsūtīja no Dānijas.
Back to Germany.
Atpakaļ uz Vāciju.
Big confession.
Tā ir tāds liela grēku nožēlošana atklāsme.
And in Germany, after some more months of distributing books, I was asked to help with the deity worship.
Un tad, kad es biju dažus mēnešus vēl Vācijā izplatījis grāmatas, man palūdza, lai es palīdzu ar kalpošanu dievībām.
And let's see, then, 1976, I became inspired by this devotee who came to Germany to preach in East Europe, HH Swami. I became inspired. I wanted to help in that, going to East Europe.
Un tad mani iespaidoja HH Swami, kurš bija nolēmis izplatīt šo te kustību Austrum Eiropā, un es nolēmu arī viņam palīdzēt.
So for some months he had me go to Berlin and with one other devotee to visit secretly devotees in East Berlin.
Un uz dažiem mēnešiem es pievienojos vēl ar dažiem baktām viņam Berlīnē, un mēs slepeni apmeklējām baktas Austrum Berlīnē.
And then with one other devotee, I began traveling around the central, well, we called it East Europe at the time, Central European countries.
Un tad mēs vēl ar vienu baktu sākām ceļot pa Vidus Eiropas valstīm.
So 1976, 77, 78, we were just driving all over East Europe.
Un 76. līdz 78. gads mēs nepārtraukti pa Austrum Eiropu ceļojām.
Including 2 trips to former Soviet Union, to Russia.
Ieskaitot 2 ceļojumus uz bijušo Padomju Savienību, uz Krieviju.
And let's see, then so many different things.
Ļoti daudz dažādas lietas.
Later I was asked to help with the deity worship, to help organize the worship of Nrsingadev in Germany.
Un vēlāk man lūdza, lai es palīdzu organizēt kalpošanu Nrsingadevam Vācijā.
You have a poster up in the room. What do you call it? The guru room.
Augšā guru istabā
Nrsingadev from Germany.
Ir plakāts ar Nrsingadeva attēlu no Vācijas.
Let's see, anyone has been there? Some of you have been.
Tā, tur augšā.
Yeah. So for some time, for some years, I was involved in developing the worship there, establishing the temple and the standards and so on.
Un krietnu laiku es tiku iesaistīts, lai nostabilizētu tur noteiktus standartus kalpošanā.
And then in the later 80s, I was traveling with His Holiness Satyanandana Swami around Germany.
Un tad 80. gados es ar viņu svētību Krishnandana Swami ceļoju pa Vāciju.
But I started going to Mayapur each year for a few months in the early 90s.
Bet tad 80. gadu sākumā es sāku doties katru gadu uz vairākiem mēnešiem uz Mayapuru.
And there, with help and inspiration from His Holiness Bhaktividya Purna Swami, we started compiling this book about deity worship on the request of the GBC.
Un tad pēc GBC lūguma un kopā ar viņa svētību Bhaktividya Purna Maharaju mēs sākām sastādīt grāmatu par kalpošanu dievībām.
I don't know if you've seen that book. It has actually 2 volumes, and they're in bright orange cover.
Es nezinu, vai jūs esat redzējuši tādu grāmatu, tā ir 2 sējumi, viņi tādā spilgt oranžos vākos ir.
Glow in the dark for the pujaris. Where's the deity worship book?
Un kas mirdz tumsā, lai puģārī var saskatīt, kur tā grāmata atrodas.
Then in that time, I was sometimes meeting His Holiness Hridayananda Maharaj in Mayapur. Hridayananda Goswami.
Tajā laikā es regulāri sāku satikt Hridayananda Maharaju.
And Hridayananda Goswami at that time was studying Sanskrit at Harvard University.
Un viņš tajā laikā studēja sanskritu Harvard Universitātē.
And he was encouraging me to also go to university.
Un viņš iedrošināja mani arī doties studēt universitātē.
Because I wanted to study Sanskrit, he said, why not do it at university and you get credit that way in the sort of in the real world of academics.
Bet viņš teica, ja tu gribi studēt, es gribēju studēt sanskritu, viņš teica, kāpēc nestudēt to universitātē, tāpēc, ka tādā veidā tu gūsi atzinību no tās materiālās pasaules akadēmiķiem.
So, also His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami encouraged me for this.
Un viņa svētība Tamal Krishna Goswami arī mani mudināja to darīt.
So then I did. Starting in 1995, I went back to school.
Un tā 85. gadā es devos atpakaļ uz skolu.
I had quit after 2 years. 1972. Now, 23 years later, I was going back.
Tad es sākotnēji pēc 2 gadu studijām biju pametis studijas, un tagad 23 gadus vēlāk es... 23 or 13?
23 years later.
95 you use... or
72 to 95.
95. I said 85. Tas bija 95. gadā. 95. gadā es sāku studēt sanskritu.
So I studied again at University of California.
Un atkal es studēju Kalifornijas universitātē.
But in a different campus, Santa Barbara.
Bet citā studentu pilsētiņā, Santa Barbarā.
Then I went to Berkeley again.
Tad es atkal uz Berkeley devos.
And did a master's degree.
Un tad man bija, kas tas ir, bakalaura grāds. Nē, tas nav, tas ir, kas ir pēc bakalaura? Maģistrs, jā, maģistra grāds, jā.
And then I went to Oxford.
Un tad es devos uz Oksfordu.
Because in Oxford, we devotees were just then starting up a project, a very interesting project.
Jo baktis tur bija sākuši ļoti interesantu projektu.
An institute for Oxford Center for Hindu Studies.
Oksfordas centrs hindu studijām.
Affiliated with the University of Oxford.
Kas sadarbojās ar Oksfordas universitāti.
So there I did some more study.
Un tur es vēl vairāk studēju.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I have been studying so many years and I have simply become like an ass.
Bhaktivinoda Thakurs saka, ka es esmu studējis tik daudz gadus, es esmu kļuvis vienkārši, atzinos, ka es esmu ēzelis.
What's the word for it?
Ēzelis.
Azelis. Azelis. Oh, yes. Azel is the German word.
Vācu vārds.
So, anyway, then finally I finished that study in 2003.
Un galu galā es 2003. Gadā pabeidzu studijas.
And then I was invited to teach at University of Florida.
Un tad mani uzaicināja pasniegt Floridas Universitātē.
And then after 1 year there, I was invited to teach at the Chinese University of Hong Kong.
Un pēc gada vēlāk mani uzaicināja pasniegt Hongkongā Ķīnas Universitātē.
Yes, there is a city called Hong Kong.
Jā, tur ir pilsēta, kas sauc Hongkonga.
And they have a program which is quite interesting. They have a professorship in Indian studies.
Un viņiem ļoti interesanta programma, kurā ir profesūra saistībā ar Indijas studijām.
Which is within the Department of Cultural and Religious Studies of this university.
Un kas ietilpst kultūras un reliģijas studiju fakultātē, kas ir tajā universitātē.
And this program is funded, it's sponsored officially by ISKCON.
Un šo programmu oficiāli sponsorē un apmaksā ISKCONs.
ISKCON Hong Kong.
Hongkongas ISKCONs.
Yes. So that is now going on.
Un tā tas turpinās.
And I'm taking a little break from that program this year.
Šogad es esmu paņēmis nelielu atpūtu no šīs programmas.
To spend more time wandering around Europe and stumbling up to Riga.
Un lai vairāk varētu paceļot pa Eiropu, un tā nu es esmu ieklīdis šeit arī Rīgā.
I mentioned the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies. This is you could say, my base in Oxford.
Mans tā bāzes vieta ir Oksfordā, Oksfordas centrs, kurā studē hindu.
You may say, why Hindu? Why not Vaishnava?
Jūs varētu jautāt, kāpēc hindu, kāpēc ne Vaishnava?
Well, we started out Center for Vaishnava Studies.
Mēs sākām centru, lai studētu Vaishnavu.
But all we would ever get were questions. What is Vaishnava?
Bet tad mums bija tādi jautājumi, kas ir Vaishnavi?
So then we'd always have to explain.
Un tad mums vienmēr bija jāskaidro.
And we said, well, some people would say it's a kind of Hinduism.
Un daži cilvēki varētu teikt, ka tas ir kāds hinduismu paveids.
Oh, Hindu, okay, Hindu.
Hindu, saprotam.
So then we made it the Center for Vaishnava and Hindu Studies.
Un tad mēs izveidojam centru, lai studētu Vaishnavu kultūru, hindu kultūru.
Okay, so Center for Vaishnava and Hindu Studies. What is Vaishnava?
Un atkal tā centrs, un kas tad ir, atkal jautājums, kas ir Vaishnavi?
More explanations.
Atkal skaidrojumi.
Well, it's kind of associated with Hinduism.
Tas ir kaut kas tāds, kam ir saskara ar hinduismu.
Oh, so why not just call it Hindu Studies?
Bet kāpēc tad nesaukt to vienkārši par hinduismu studijām?
All right, we just call it Hindu Studies.
Nu, labi, sauksim par hinduismu studijām.
And then within that, we have our Vaishnava studies and other things also.
Un tad tā ietvaros mums ir Vaishnavismu studijas un citas lietas arī.
We also have since, what is it now, at least 12 years, in Belgium at Radhadesh, we have a college.
Mums Radadešā, Beļģijā, kādus 12 gadus jau ir koledža.
Which is called Bhaktivedanta College.
Ko tā arī sauc, Bhaktivedanta koledža.
And this college is affiliated with and accredited by one university in England.
Un šī koledža ir saistībā ar kādu universitāti Anglijā, kur arī kredītpunktus dot tai.
We have a program which runs for 3 years in study of theology and religious studies.
Un mums ir programma, kas jau ilgs 3 gadus, un kur mēs studējam teoloģiju un reliģiju.
And we're starting up in September a new program, which is educational studies.
Un septembrī mēs sākam jaunu izglītojošu programmu,
which can lead to a qualification for teaching.
Kas, pateicoties kurai, varēs iegūt kvalifikāciju pasniegšanai.
For teaching in elementary schools and high schools.
Lai mācītu pamatskolās un augstskolās.
So it's a quite small program so far, but yes, we hope to expand it.
Tā pagaidām ir neliela programma, bet mēs ceram, ka tā attīstīsies.
Let's see, what else are we doing?
Ko gan vēl mēs darām?
We travel in South India sometimes. Savitri Mataji was there with us.
Ar Savitri Mataji mēs pa Dienvidu Indiju ceļojam dažkārt.
Did you have a good time? Amazing, huh? Yeah, we had a nice little tour. You know, I'm sure you know, His Holiness Radhanath Swami travels with groups of 5,000 devotees.
Jūs droši vien zināt, Radhanath Swami ceļo ar 5,000 cilvēku lielu grupu.
No doubt, very ecstatic.
Nekādu šaubu, ļoti ekstātiski tas ir.
But for those of us who are a little shy of so many people,
bet tiem, kas ir kas ir kautrējās no tik daudz cilvēkiem,
we created this alternative.
Mums ir šī alternatīva.
So instead of 5,000, 50, that was smaller.
5,000 vietā 50.
We're also working on some publications.
Mēs arī strādājam pie izdevumiem, publikācijām.
One book, which was derived from, or basically was my doctoral thesis, was published some years ago by an academic publisher. We are now republishing it with a branch of the BBT.
Un grāmata, kas patiesībā ir manas doktora disertācija, tā tagad no jauna tiek izdota ar BBT palīdzību.
And the subject of this is our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition of deity worship.
Un tā grāmata ir veltīta mūsu Gaudiya Vaishnava tradīcijā, kā mēs kalpojam dievībām.
So, of course, that will be coming out in English, but who knows, maybe one day someone will translate it into Latvian.
Tā, protams, iznāks angliski, bet, kas zina, varbūt kādu dienu kāds to pārtulkos latviski.
Or does everyone read Russian?
Vai kāds krieviski šeit lasa?
Yes, but you don't like to, right? How many read Russian? Oh, everybody reads Russian, okay.
Visi lasa krieviski.
But you prefer Latvian? No?
Bet jūs dodat priekšroku latviešu valodai.
No, you prefer Russian.
Latvians prefer Latvian, the Russians Russian.
And we all have Russians here, or what is happening?
No, there are Latvians who read Russian also.
I know, but I'm asking, what do they prefer to read?
Ko jūs, kā jums ērtāk lasīt ir?
Spanish.
You know,
Prefer Spanish.
they say that most translations are in Russian.
Yeah.
We talk about the books of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. Still didn't answer my question. Oh well. Okay, so we could do. We're exploring possibility that it be translated into Russian.
Mēs mēģinam rast iespēju iztulkot to krieviski arī.
And anyway, a couple of other books are also coming. They're in process. Myself and one other devotee scholar are working together on 2 books about the Bhagavatam. academic books.
Un es ar vēl vienu izglītotu cilvēku, mēs strādājam pie 2 grāmatām, kas ir veltītas Bhagavatam, kas ir procesā šis darbs.
And we're also working on a little book, which is, you can say, for fun, to encourage devotees in remembering pastimes of the Lord.
Un vēl viena maz grāmatiņa par prieku sev, kuras būtība ir iedvesmot bhaktas, lai viņi atcerās kunga spēles.
This is going to be written by many devotees.
Tā būs, to rakstījis daudzi bhaktas.
And it's going to be called Rama Smarana.
Un to sauks Rama Smarana.
I know here the name Rama is very popular.
Es zinu, ka šeit vārds Rāma ir ļoti populārs.
Means what? Shanti? Peace? Rama means peace.
Rāms.
Rams.
Shanti.
Oh, okay. So Rams Marana. Ram Smarana. So devotees, we are encouraging devotees to write, meditating on Krishna's, in this case, Rama's pastimes.
Mēs iedrošinām, lai bhaktas raksta meditējot uz Rāmas spēlēm.
And to use the imagination, creative imagination.
Un izmantojot savu tādu iztēli, radošo iztēli.
To tell some aspect of Ramayana from a fresh angle.
Un lai viņi izstāsta kādus Ramajānas aspektus pilnīgi no svaiga skatu punkta.
So, for example, Analakshita has written something.
Piemēram,
Analakshita. Yes.
Analakshita ir uzrakstījusi kaut ko.
She has written a kind of meditation. What would Lakshmana have, wasn't it? About Lakshmana. Kaikeyi. Oh, I'm mixing up with someone else. Yes, Kaikeyi's mood of lamentation in her having made all of this big mess to send Ram to the forest and so on. She laments.
Un tad par Kaikejas tām skumjām, kur pamatā ir tas, ka viņa ir bijusi cēlonis visam šim, kas ir noticis, aizsūtot Rāmu uz mežu.
So in the classical Valmiki Ramayana, you don't hear this from Kaikeyi.
Un klasiskajā Valmiki Ramayanā jūs nedzirdēsiet to no Kaikejas.
You just hear about how she demanded that Rama be sent to the forest and so on.
Jūs vienkārši tikai dzirdēsiet, kā viņa pieprasīja, lai Rāmu izsūta uz mežu.
But then if you think about it, what developed later, you can understand she must have had some lamentation after this.
Bet, ja jūs padomājat par to, kas notika tālāk, tad ir jāsaprot, ka rezultātā viņai vajadzētu būt kādai nožēlai, kādai bēdām, sērām par to, kas notika.
So what did she think? What was her, the way that her mind went as she reflected on her own actions?
Un kā gan viņas domas virzījās, par ko gan viņa domāja, apcerot to, ko viņa ir izdarījusi.
So like that, that's one example. Many devotees are writing different.
Tas tāds bija viens piemērs no tā, ko bhaktas raksta.
Yeah, so that's another little project we have going.
Tas mums vēl viens tāds neliels projekts.
Hare Krishna, that's kind of maybe enough talking about myself.
Pietiks runāt par mani šobrīd.
Hare Krishna. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. What should we do now?
Ko mums tagad darīt?
What's our schedule? What time should we stop?
Mataji says that you should take a rest.
I should take rest. Do I look so tired?
This is first offering. If you
Do I look so tired? We will have class tomorrow morning. Okay.
Rīt no rīta būs Šrimad Bhagavatam lekcija.
What time?
8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock. I see. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Does anyone have a question about anything? Just
Vai kādam ir kāds jautājums par jebko?
preferably a question that I can answer.
Vēlams būtu jautājums, uz ko es varu atbildēt.
No. Oh. This Mataji?
Kur var atrast standartus, kā kalpot Nrisimham? Where can we find these standards how to worship, how to serve Nrisimha deity?
Oh. Before we started the worship of Nrsimhadev in Germany, I went to South India to visit some Nrsimha temples.
Pirms mēs Vācijā sākām kalpot Nrisimham, es devos uz Dienvidu Indiju, lai apmeklētu vairākus Nrisimhas tempļus.
Because I wanted to see firsthand how they were doing.
Tāpēc, ka es vēlējos redzēt no pirmavota, kā viņi to dara.
There are many Nrsimha temples in Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradešā ir vairāki Nrisimhadeva tempļi.
Andhra is north of Tamil Nadu and south of Odisha.
Tātad no ziemeļiem uz Tamil Nadu un dienvidos no Risas.
And one thing that I found out is that Nrsimhadev likes sweets.
Un viena lieta, ko es atklāju, ka Nrisimhadevam viņam patīk saldumi.
That's good.
Tas labi.
Yeah. I also found out that in some places he likes, on occasion, to be placed on a swing.
Un tad es vēl atklāju, ka dažās vietās dažkārt viņam patīk, ka viņš ir novietots uz savām šūpolēm.
Šūpolēm.
Šūpoles.
Šūpolēm.
Ja?
The basic procedure of worship of any deity is the same.
Pamat procedūra, lai kalpot jebkurām dievībām, ir viena tā pati.
But the details of the mantras being used will be different.
Bet detaļas un mantras, kas tiek izmantotas, ir dažādas.
The mood, of course, will be different.
Un noskaņojums ir dažāds.
And for any particular deity, there may be particular traditions that a temple has held over years and even centuries.
Un katrai dievībai var būt noteikts attiecībā uz katru dievību noteikts tradīcijas, kas ir saglabātas templī gadiem un varbūt pat gadu simteņiem.
The Bhagavatam has very nice prayers to Nrsimhadev.
Bhagavatam ir brīnišķīgas lūgšanas Nrisimhadevam.
You are all just celebrating Nrsimha Chaturdasi.
Nu pat Nrsimha Chaturdasi tika atzīmēts.
So you'll find prayers of the residents of Jambudvip in the 5th canto, chapter 18.
Un 5. nodaļa, 5. dziedājuma 18. nodaļā jūs varat atrast lūgšanas, ko Džambudvipā, kas tiek izteiktas.
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jaste Jase Aviravir Bhava Vachanakka Vachadangstra Karma Shayan Randhaya Randhaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Svaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuishta Om Kshraum. That's the first prayer.
Tā ir pirmā lūkšana.
And it's a very nice prayer, praying to Lord Nrsingadev to please appear in the heart.
Un tā ir brīnišķīga lūkšana, kur tiek lūgts Kungs Nrsingadeva parādies mūsu sirdīs.
And to dispel the darkness, tamo grasa grasa.
Un izgaisina tumsību.
And in this way to give illumination, to free one from ignorance.
Un tādā veidā apgaismo to un dod brīvību no neziņas.
Which is the cause of karma asha, the longing for the results of karma, of action.
Un kas neziņa, kas ir cēlonis tam, ka mēs ilgojamies pēc karma āšas, pēc karmas augļiem.
So this is a very nice prayer.
Brīnišķīga lūkšana.
And this is one way to worship Nrsingadev.
Un tas ir viens veids, kā kalpot pielūgt Nrsingadevu.
In Canto 7, practically the whole of chapter 9 are the prayers, consists of prayers of Prahlad Maharaj to Nrsingadev.
Un 7. dziedājuma 9. nodaļa praktiski visa sastāv no Prahlāda Maharaģa lūkšanām.
And you can learn those prayers and offer them.
Jūs varat mācīties šīs lūkšanas un tās piedāvāt.
Joy, yes. Okay. Yes.
Tāds jautājums, dzirdējis, kad lepnuma izpausme, rūpīga lepnuma izpausme vēlēties nav. Smalkāk ir pēc slavas un atzinības, kā atbrīvoties no lepnuma. Atzinības.
Tad pirmais ir lepnuma izpausme ir pēc naudas, ja?
Tas tāds zemu līmeni vēlme.
I have heard that one manifestation, the gross manifestation of pride is desiring money, but then there are some subtle manifestations, and one of them is desiring followers. What? Honor, yeah, honor and what? And what else?
Fame.
And fame.
Mm.
And how to get rid of that? Yeah.
Fame. Are you famous?
Vai jūs esat slavens?
Would you like to be famous?
Vai jūs gribētu būt slavens?
Uh-huh. Are you a rock musician?
Vai jūs esat rock mūziķis?
If you were famous, what would you do with your fame?
Ko jūs darītu ar savu slavu, ja būtu slavens?
Es gribētu būt slavens kā bakta.
I would like to be a famous devotee.
Oh, well. Well, that might not be a bad thing.
Tas tā varētu nebūt slikta lieta.
If you get to be known as a devotee, then everyone will say, oh, there goes, what is your good name?
My name is Gopal Das.
Gopal Das. There goes Gopal Das, the devotee of Krishna.
Ja jūs kļūtu slavens kā Krišnas bakta, tad visi teikt, lūk, tur ietu Gopaldās Krišnas bakta.
Or even the devotee of Gopal. That is also good.
Vai arī Gopāla bakta. Arī labi.
Pride, of course, in Western traditions, we have this saying, pride goes before a fall.
Rietumos saka, ka lepnība nāk pirms krišanas.
Why is that? What is it about pride and falling down from a high position?
Kas tad ir tas, kas liek lepnības dēļ krist no augsta stāvokļa?
Here I am on this very high seat. If I'm very prideful, I might suddenly fall off.
Lūk, šeit es esmu uz augsta sēdekļa un, būdams lepns, es varu nokrist uz vienu vai otru pusi.
Well, pride, of course, has to do with a kind of illusion.
Protams, lepnībai ir darīšana ar zinām veidu ilūziju.
That somehow I become important.
Kaut kādā veidā es esmu svarīgs.
If you think about it, how many people do you know, like that you could give names to? Some of you maybe use Facebook. How many Facebook friends do you have?
Cik jums ir paziņas, kuriem jūs varat nosaukt vārdus, vai, piemēram, Facebookā? Cik jums ir draugu Facebookā?
Do you use Facebook? So, let's say you have 100 people or 200 people who are, what does it call it? Friends, yes? Following you. Friends. I don't know how it works. I'm not on Facebook.
Pieņemsim, jums ir 100 vai 200 cilvēki, kas ir jums seko, kas ir draugi.
Maybe 200 people? Could be. Okay. So, how many people are in Riga? 750,000, we heard.
Cik Rīgā ir? 750,000.
So, the number of people you know now is just a tiny fraction of the number of people in this city.
Tas, ko jūs zināt, ir sīka daļiņa no Rīgas iedzīvotāju skaita.
And Riga is one city in one relatively small country.
Un Rīga ir viena pilsēta salīdzinoši mazā valstiņā.
On a planet which is one small planet in the universe.
Uz planētas, kas ir viena maza planēta visumā.
So, with some, what do they say now, 7 billion people on it?
Uz tādas mazās planētas ir apmēram kaut kāda, ko viņi saka, 7 miljārdi cilvēku.
Yeah, 7 billion. So, how many people know us? Just a tiny number.
Un cik tad mūsu zina? Maz skaits.
So, what do we have to be proud of in that respect?
Un kā šādā sakarā, par ko mums būtu lepniem?
And even you become famous.
Un pat ja jūs kļūstat slavens.
Still, relatively speaking, it's going to be a small number.
Un relatīvi tas būs ļoti mazs numurs, skaits vienalga.
And even people know you now, after some time, they will forget you.
Un pat ja cilvēki zina jūs tagad, pēc kāda laika viņi jūs aizmirsīs.
There was one British writer, he was in Oxford in the 19th century, Oscar Wilde.
Bija viens britu rakstnieks, Oskars Wilds.
He said once, "You would be amazed at how little others are thinking of you."
Jūs būsiet pārsteigti, cik maz citi domā par jums.
We're always thinking, what do other people think of me?
Mēs parasti domājam, ko gan citi domā par mani.
And we shape our lives very much around what we think other people think of us.
Un mēs ļoti daudz ko savā dzīvē pielāgojam atkarībā no tā, ko mēs domājam, ko citi domā par mums.
But Oscar Wilde said, most of the time other people are not thinking of you at all.
Bet Oskars Wilds saka, ka lielāko daļu laika cilvēki vispār par jums nedomā.
So this is the reality.
Un tā ir tā realitāte.
To answer your question, I would just say that the general principle in spiritual life, we're trying to get in touch with reality.
Atbildot uz šo jautājumu, principā, runājot par garīgo dzīvi, ir jābūt saistībā ar realitāti.
And doing so automatically brings humility.
Un tā darot, automātiski iestājās pazemība.
Because we recognize the real situation, which is that we are very insignificant.
Tāpēc, ka mēs saprotam patieso situāciju, ka mēs esam ļoti nenozīmīgi.
But now there is this principle called fame.
Bet ir šāds princips, kas saucas slava.
And it turns out that this is one of the characteristics, one of the bhaga, one of the opulences of the Supreme Lord.
Un izrādās, ka tā ir viena no tām bagātībām, tām, kas piemīt augstākajam kungam.
And so spiritual life, devotional service means, yes, there is fame and it belongs to Krishna, and let's therefore do what we can to increase Krishna's fame.
Un garīgajā dzīvē, kalpošanā Dievam, ir jāsaprot, ka ir tāds jēdziens kā slava, un tas pieder Dievam, un mums ir jādara viss iespējamais, lai vairotu viņu slavu.
But it's not an impersonal process.
Bet tas nav impersonāls process.
Krishna wanted Arjuna to get the credit for his fighting in the battle of Kurukshetra.
Krišna vēlējās, lai Arjuna saņem atzinību par to, ka viņš cīnās Kurukšetras laukā.
So as we direct our energy to increase the fame of Krishna,
Un tad, kad mēs virzām savu enerģiju, lai palielinātu Krišnas slavu,
then just the right amount of fame will come back to us that will not get us confused.
un tieši mēs saņemam tieši tādu slavas daudzumu, lai tas mūs nesamulsinātu.
Just the right amount that we can use in Krishna's service. We can recycle that.
Tieši tāds slavas daudzums, lai mēs to varam izmantot kalpošanā Krišnam, to varam pārstrādāt.
Yeah, that's our program.
Tāda ir mūsu programma.
Okay? Hare Krishna. Mataji, you had a question? Yes, Shraddha Mataji.
Хотела спросить, какую роль играет вайшнавское образование? В какой момент оно становится особенно важным?
Es gribēju jautāt, kādu lomu spēlē Vaišnava izglītība, kurā brīdī tā kļūst svarīga. I would like to ask about the importance of Vaishnava education. At what moment it becomes prominent, important?
Well, I personally think it's very important. I think Prabhupada saw it as very important for our society.
Es uzskatu personiski, un es redzu, ka Prabhupada uzskatīja to kā ļoti būtisku mūsu sabiedrībai.
Of course, Prabhupada was making efforts to establish schools.
Un, protams, Prabhupada pielika pūles, lai iedibinātu skolas.
Just 3 days ago, I was in London.
3 dienas atpakaļ es biju Londonā,
and I met there my god sister Urmila Mataji.
un tur es satiku savu garīgo māsu Urmila Mātiģi.
She sometimes visits here
Vai viņa apmeklē kādreiz šeit, Rīgā?
once. She's very much involved in education.
Viņa ļoti lielā mērā ir iesaistījusies izglītības sekmēšanā.
And she happened to be on her way to visit one private school in London.
Un tā gadījās, ka viņa bija gatavojās apmeklēt vienu privātu skolu Londonā.
And she invited me to go along with her.
Un viņa piedāvāja man pievienoties viņai.
This is a school called St. James. It's a school with 600 children.
St. James skola ar 600 skolniekiem.
And in this school, which is just, you might say, in some ways, an ordinary British private school.
Un šī skola, kur varētu nosaukt par parastu britu privātu skolu,
They teach Sanskrit to all the children.
viņi visiem skolēniem māca sanskritu.
They start at age 4.
Viņi started at age 4.
At age 4, the children begin to learn Sanskrit.
4 gadu vecumā bērni sāka mācīties sanskritu.
And they go through to age 18.
Un līdz 18 gadu vecumam
We sat in on a class of, on a session, a Sanskrit session, of some nine-year-old girls.
mēs piedalījāmies sanskrita apmācībā, kur bija 9-gadīgas meitenes.
These girls were chanting Rig Veda,
Un šīs meitenes atkārtoja Rigvēdu.
and they were translating Sanskrit sentences
Un viņas tulkoja sanskrita teikumus
about Krishna killing Kamsa.
par to, kā Krišna nogalināja Kamsu.
9-year-old girls.
9-gadīgas meitenes.
They weren't Indians.
Un viņas nebija indietes.
They were just ordinary, you could say, British.
Varētu teikt, viņas bija, kā saka, parasts britu meitenes.
And they were so bright-faced. It was unbelievable.
Un viņas bija tik mirdzošām sejām neticami.
And they were so eager to participate.
Un viņas bija tik ļoti augstošas piedalīties.
And Mother Urmila and I were thinking, why can't we have a school like this
Un
for ISKCON?
Māte Urmila un es domāju, kāpēc gan ISKCONā nevarētu būt tāda skola.
Anyway, so we felt this would be what, in many respects, what Prabhupada would be wanting.
Un mēs jutām, ka tas būtu kaut kas tāds, ko Prabhupada būtu vēlējies.
They're starting a program, that school, by the way, for training teachers to teach Sanskrit to children. So if anyone wants to take part in that, it's possible.
Un šī skola ir uzsākusi paralēli arī apmācīt programmu, kurā apmāca skolotājus, lai tie varētu mācīt sanskritu. Un ja kāds vēlas tajā piedalīties, tas ir iespējams.
Just a few days ago came out a new book in English. Exact title, I don't know. I can show you tomorrow morning. It's about homeschooling in ISKCON.
Nu pat ir iznākusi grāmata par mājas mācību ISKCONā, angļu valodā.
Did Arudha Mataji come here for giving her seminar?
Arudha Mataji?
No. Arudha Mataji has written this book.
Arudha Mataji ir uzrakstījis šo grāmatu.
She became famous in ISKCON.
Viņa ir kļuvusi slavena ISKCONā.
Because her 2 sons, whom she taught by homeschooling,
Jo viņas 2 dēli, kurus viņa apmācīja mājās,
they both, the older son finished high school at age 13 and went to university at age 13.
Tad vecākais dēls 13 gadu vecumā pabeidza vidusskolu un iestājās 13 gadu vecumā universitātē.
And he finished university with a major in philosophy and mathematics at age 17.
Un 17 gadu vecumā viņš kā maģistrs pabeidza universitāti matemātikā un filozofijā.
And then he came to Oxford at the same time that I was studying in Oxford.
Un tad viņš ieradās Oksfordā tajā pašā laikā, kad es sāku studēt tur.
So by the time he was 22, he had a PhD from Oxford University.
Un 22 gadu vecumā viņam bija doktora grāds Oksfordas universitātē.
And his younger brother is, as we speak, he's in Oxford, finishing his PhD at Oxford University. He's a little older now. It took him a little longer, but yeah.
Un jaunākais brālis nedaudz lielākā vecumā arī pabeidza savu doktorantūru turpat Oksfordā.
So people started asking this Mataji Arudha, how did you do it?
Un cilvēki sāka jautāt šai Māteģi, kā jūs to darāt?
please give us your advice. And that led to her giving seminars, and she's been giving seminars around the world. And now she's written a book, and now the book has just come out.
Un tas viss beidzās ar to, ka viņa visā pasaulē sniedz seminārus par šo tēmu, un tagad uzrakstījis grāmatu, un tā grāmata ir iznākusi.
So these things are happening. Yeah. Some of us are very concerned. We want this Bhaktivedanta college to become established, to become successful.
Un daudz no mums ir norūpējušies, vai tā teiksim, vēlas, lai Bhaktivedanta koledža būtu sekmīga.
While I was in Berkeley, I saw, because I was studying actually at a Christian institution, they were training Christian ministers and priests.
Un Berklejā, kad es studēju, tad tā institūcija, kur es biju, es redzēju, kā viņi apmāca kristiešu sludinātājus un tos, kas tur baznīcās kalpo.
And I was very impressed what a thorough training they were getting.
Un es biju man iespaidoja tas, cik pamatīgu apmācību viņi iziet.
And there also I was thinking, why we don't have something like this for our devotees.
Un tad es arī domāju, kāpēc mūsu baktām nav kaut kas tāds.
Gradually all these things are developing. We have Shastra courses developing.
Pamazām viss attīstās. Mums ir Shastra kursi, kas attīstās.
And yes, we have this college. There's a college which is becoming a university in Budapest, supported by the government.
Un kā ir koledži, kas pārtop par universitāti, un tas viss ir saskaņā ar valdību.
They're attracting many people from outside just to study yoga. They're giving courses and degrees in yoga.
Un viņi piesaista ļoti daudz cilvēkus, jo dod kursus un zinātniskos grādus jogā.
You can get a master's degree in yoga.
Un jūs varat saņemt šo te maģistra grādu jogā.
And they say that 30% of those who are coming for that study, they become devotees.
Un viņi saka, 30% no tiem, kas uzsāk šīs studijas, kļūst par baktām.
So, anyway, so many things we could say, but I would say Srila Prabhupada said we want to attract the educated class of people.
Daudz ko es varētu teikt, bet Srila Prabhupada teica, ka mēs vēlamies piesaistīt izglītotu cilvēku klasi.
If we want to attract the educated class of people, we have to have some educated people.
Un ja mēs vēlam piesaistīt izglītotus cilvēkus, mums pašiem ir jābūt izglītotiem cilvēkiem.
Yeah. But there are different kinds of education, and it's not that one type of education fits everyone.
Ir dažādi izglītības veidi, un nav tā, ka viens izglītības veids visiem der.
Yeah, but I think education of some sort is for all of us.
Es domāju, ka noteikti izglītība domāt mums visiem.
Prabhupada gave us all of his books.
Prabhupada ir devis savas grāmatas mums.
He wanted us to study them, that's education.
Viņš vēlējās, lai mēs tās studējam, un tā ir izglītība.
And there are many ways to study them.
Un ir daudz veidi, kā tās apgūt.
Yeah. Is that all right? Okay, so maybe we'll end there for now. Thank you all very much.
Paldies visiem jums.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Tad tiekamies rītdien.
Oh, I see the Pancharatra Pradipa books there. The bright orange books, yeah.
Lūk, kur ir tās grāmatas.
Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Krishna Kshetra Prabhu ki.